The grocery store parking lot was almost empty when Ethan first noticed them. A woman sitting on the curb, her shoulders trembling, and a little girl standing beside her, clutching a torn pink backpack. The girl couldn't have been more than 7. The wind tugged at her braids as she looked up at her mother, confusion and fear mixing in her eyes. "Don't cry, Mommy." "Maybe he'll help us," the girl whispered, pointing shyly in Ethan's direction. Ethan froze. He just finished a long shift, exhausted and ready to head home, but something about that little voice cut right through him. He didn't know it yet, but this moment, this tiny plea, was about to change not only his life, but the future of someone far more powerful than he could imagine. Before the story begins, if you enjoy emotional, inspiring, true-to-life stories, make sure to subscribe to TruthLines USA. Don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and share your thoughts. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories your way. Ethan approached them slowly, unsure of what to say. The woman quickly wiped her face and tried to stand, putting on a brave smile that fooled no one. "I'm sorry," she murmured. "We're fine, really." But the little girl stepped forward. "Our car broke," she explained. "Mommy said we might have to walk, but her leg hurts, and we need to get to the shelter before it gets dark." Ethan looked at the mother. Her ankle was swollen, her coat thin, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. He recognized that look, the look of someone trying desperately to hold life together with shaking hands. "I can take you," Ethan said gently. "It's no trouble." The woman tried to refuse. "We don't want to be a burden." "You're not," he said, more firmly now. "Let me help." When they finally agreed, Ethan walked them to his car. The girl climbed in carefully, still hugging her backpack. Ethan noticed a small tear near the zipper and a sticker that read, "You are braver than you think. What's your name?" he asked once they were on the road. "Maya," she chirped. "And what about you?" he asked the woman. "Caroline," she replied quietly, staring out the window as if afraid her dignity might crack under the weight of gratitude. The ride to the shelter took only 15 minutes, but in that short time, Ethan learned pieces of their story. How Caroline had lost her job after missing too many shifts to care for her sick mother. How they fell behind on rent. How their car gave out today of all days, leaving them stranded. He wished he could fix everything for them, but he was only one person, a single dad himself, raising his 8-year-old son Luke while juggling 2 part-time jobs. He knew the sharp edge of struggle all too well. At the shelter, Maya turned to him with wide, earnest eyes. "Thank you, Mr. Ethan," she said. "You saved us." Her words hit him right in the chest. That night, after making sure they were checked in and safe, Ethan stopped at a fast food place and bought them warm meals, calling ahead so the staff could bring the food to the front desk discreetly. He didn't want to embarrass them. He just wanted them to know someone cared. For the next 2 weeks, he checked in on Maya and Caroline whenever he could, dropping off jackets Luke had outgrown, bringing small treats, and even helping Caroline apply for jobs online. When she walked with a limp, he offered to take her to a free clinic. She resisted at first, but eventually accepted. Slowly, hope began to reappear in her eyes. Then one afternoon, while picking up Luke from school, Ethan got a phone call that would pull the thread of this story in a completely unexpected direction. "Mr. Hayes?" the voice said. "This is the office of George Callahan, CEO of Callahan Industries. Mr. Callahan would like to meet you tomorrow morning, if you're available." Ethan blinked. He had applied for a warehouse position weeks ago, but he certainly hadn't expected a CEO to call. The next day, Ethan walked into the massive glass building downtown, trying not to feel out of place in his clean but worn shirt. The receptionist escorted him up to the top floor. George Callahan stood by the window when Ethan walked in, an older man, white hair, expensive suit, the kind of presence that filled a room without him having to say a word. But he smiled warmly and gestured for Ethan to sit. "I hear you've been helping 2 guests at the riverbend shelter," the CEO began, surprising Ethan. A mother and her daughter, Caroline and Maya. Ethan felt his stomach twist. Had he done something wrong? Shelters had rules. Had he crossed a line? I didn't mean to interfere," Ethan stammered. You didn't interfere, George said. You stepped in when no one else did. Then he told Ethan something that left him speechless. Caroline is my daughter. The room fell silent. George sighed, his strong shoulders sinking. We're estranged, haven't spoken in almost 3 years. She struggled with anxiety after her husband died. She hid her problems from me, didn't want to seem weak. And I didn't try hard enough to reach her. He rubbed his face with a tired hand. When my assistant told me she checked into a shelter, I went to find her. But she wouldn't see me. She said I never cared enough before. His voice cracked. But she mentioned someone who did. Ethan swallowed hard. She said you helped without asking for anything, that you showed her more kindness than she'd seen in a long time. I want to thank you for that. Ethan shook his head. I didn't do anything special. Son, George said, leaning forward, you did something people with far more money and power often fail to do. You showed up. He sat back again. I want to help you the way you helped my daughter. I'm offering you a position, full-time, with benefits, and a schedule that works around raising your son. Ethan's breath caught. Are you serious? Absolutely. Ethan walked out of that building in a daze. He wasn't used to life giving back. He wasn't. Used to being seen. 2 weeks after that meeting, as he settled into his new job, he received another invitation, this time from Caroline herself. She wanted him to meet her and Maya at a nearby diner. When Ethan walked in, Maya ran to him. Ethan, guess what? Mommy got a job too. Caroline smiled shyly behind her daughter. Your friend George offered me counseling and a position in his community outreach department. He said he's trying to make up for lost time. That's great, Ethan said sincerely. I'm happy for you. But Caroline shook her head gently. We're happy because of you, she said. You changed everything. Ethan wanted to argue, to insist he hadn't done all that. But Maya hugged his leg, and Caroline's eyes glistened with gratitude so deep it didn't need words. Later, when Ethan headed home, he found Luke waiting on the couch with their dog, Milo, and a drawing laid neatly on the coffee table. It showed 3 stick figures, Luke, Ethan, and Maya, holding hands under a blue sky. Dad, Luke said, are Maya and her mom gonna be okay now? Ethan smiled softly. Yeah, buddy, I think they are. Luke nodded thoughtfully. You're like a hero. Ethan laughed. Not a hero, just someone who tried to help. But that night, long after Luke had fallen asleep, Ethan sat quietly in the soft glow of the living room lamp, thinking about how a simple act, just stopping to care, had created a ripple that reached further than he ever imagined. It connected strangers, reunited a family, and opened new doors he never expected. One small moment of kindness had changed several lives at once. A few months later, Caroline invited Ethan and Luke to attend a charity event hosted by her father's company. It focused on helping families facing homelessness, something she now worked passionately to address. When Ethan arrived, the place buzzed with energy. Volunteers packed care bags, children decorated cards, and people from every walk of life gathered to help. George saw Ethan across the room and made his way over. I've been thinking about starting a program, he told him. Something that highlights everyday acts of kindness, not big gestures, the small ones, the ones that save people quietly. Ethan nodded. That sounds wonderful. George smiled. I'd like you to help lead it. Ethan was stunned. Me? You, George confirmed, because you understand what this work is really about. Later, as Ethan watched Luke and Maya decorate cookies together at one of the kids' tables, he felt something shift in his heart, a warmth that came not from success or recognition, but from connection. Human connection, the kind that reminded him that even in the hardest times, there were still people willing to lift each other up, and sometimes all it took was listening to the small voice of a child saying, maybe he'll help us. Because kindness, real kindness, isn't about grand gestures or dramatic rescues. It's about showing up. It's about seeing someone in their moment of need and choosing, even when life is heavy, to lend a hand. It's the kind of kindness that can mend families, open doors, and remind us that we're all capable of changing someone's world, just by caring. So the next time you see someone struggling, remember, the smallest act can create ripples you might never see. But those ripples matter, and sometimes they come back to you in ways you never expected. Be kind. Someone out there needs exactly what you have to give.